My husband checked the trash to control me every single day for years. And Sharon, I'm 52 years old and I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. 7 years ago, I couldn't even throw away a grocery receipt without him inspecting it. Today, I can finally breathe. But getting here, that's a story that took me 21 years to understand. You know that feeling when something seems off, but everyone around you says you're overreacting. When the person who's supposed to love you makes you feel like you're going crazy. I lived that way for more than 2 decades. And the worst part, I didn't even realize I was trapped until my own daughter looked me in the eye and asked a question that changed everything. Before I tell you how it all unraveled, I need to know something. Where are you watching this from? Drop your city in the comments below, hit that like button, and subscribe to this channel. We share stories like mine every single day. Real women, real experiences, real survival. Your support means everything, and it helps other women find these stories when they need them most. This isn't just about trash. It's about how control can look like concern, how isolation can feel like protection, how 21 years can disappear while you're busy making excuses for someone who never deserved them. When I met Kevin, he wasn't the man who would eventually monitor my every move. He was charming, funny, the life of every party. We met at a karaoke bar when I was 27. He sang terribly and made everyone laugh. I thought I'd found someone special. I had no idea I was meeting my jailer. The changes didn't happen overnight. They never do. It started so small I didn't notice. A comment here, a question there. Then came the phone calls. 10, 15 missed calls every time I tried to have a normal evening with friends. What should have been fun became anxiety. What should have been freedom became fear, but I'm getting ahead of myself. This story gets much more complicated than you might imagine. And if you've ever felt like you needed permission to exist in your own life, if you've ever apologized for things that weren't your fault, if you've ever wondered why leaving feels harder than staying, you're not alone. I'm going to tell you everything. How it started. How it got worse. The day I finally saw the truth. And how I got out. Trust me. You'll want to hear how this ends. Asterisk, I met Kevin on a Friday night in March of 2001. I was 28 years old. Working as an assistant manager at Belk department store. Living with 2 roommates in a small apartment in South End. My friend Jennifer had dragged me to this karaoke bar called The Hideaway, insisting I needed to stop working double shifts and actually have some fun. Kevin was on stage when we walked in, completely butchering Livin' on a Prayer by Bon Jovi. He was 30 years old, wearing a Carolina Panthers jersey, and he had the entire bar laughing. Not at him, but with him. He knew he couldn't sing. He didn't care. He was just there to make people smile. When he came off stage, he walked straight to our table. I'm Kevin, he said, extending his hand to me specifically, even though there were 4 of us sitting there. And before you ask, yes, that's the best I can do. I peaked in 3rd grade choir. I laughed. Actually laughed, something I hadn't done much of lately. My last relationship had ended badly 6 months earlier, and I'd thrown myself into work to avoid thinking about it. But Kevin had this energy, this lightness. He made everything feel easy. We talked for 3 hours that night. He sold insurance for a living, worked for a big company downtown. He'd grown up in Charlotte, played baseball in high school, loved the Panthers with an almost religious devotion. He was funny, attentive, asked questions about my life, and actually listened to the answers. What do you want to do? He asked me at one point. Long term. If you could do anything? I don't know, I admitted. Maybe open my own boutique someday. Something small, curated. I love fashion, love helping people find things that make them feel good about themselves. You'd be amazing at that, he said, And the way he said it, I believed him. We started dating immediately. Kevin wasn't playing games, wasn't trying to be mysterious or cool. He called when he said he would. He showed up on time. He remembered small details I'd mentioned in passing. He brought me coffee at work, met me for lunch breaks, integrated seamlessly into my friend group. Jennifer loved him. "He's good for you," she said after a month. "You're smiling again." She was right. I was happy. Kevin made me feel seen in a way I'd never experienced before. He'd surprise me with little things, notes left on my car windshield, flowers delivered to the store. He'd show up at the hideaway with all our friends, pull me onto the dance floor even though neither of us could dance. 6 months in, he proposed. We were at Lake Norman having a picnic at sunset. He got down on one knee with his grandmother's ring. "Sharon, I knew the night I met you. You're it for me. Will you marry me?" I said yes without hesitation. Everyone said it was fast, but it felt right. When you know, right? That's what people always say. We got married 4 months later. Small ceremony at a local church, reception at a restaurant in Ballantine. It was perfect. Kevin cried during his vows. My dad gave a toast about how he'd never seen me happier. We honeymooned in Myrtle Beach, walked on the beach at sunrise, talked about our future. "How many kids do you want?" Kevin asked me one morning, lying in bed with ocean sounds coming through the open window. "2," I said. "A girl and a boy." "What about you?" "Whatever you want," he said, kissing my forehead. "I just want to make you happy." 3 months later, I was pregnant with Emily. We'd been trying, so it wasn't a surprise, but it was still overwhelming in the best way. Kevin was ecstatic. He started reading parenting books immediately, talking to my belly, painting the nursery before we even knew the gender. Those first 2 years of marriage were everything I'd hoped for. Kevin was attentive, loving, excited about building our life together. He'd come home from work and immediately ask about my day. We'd cook dinner together, watch movies on the couch, make plans for the future. Looking back now, there were small things. Tiny things I didn't recognize as warning signs because why would I? He'd occasionally make comments about my clothes. "Are you wearing that?" Not mean, just questioning. When I'd say yes, he'd shrug. "Okay, just making sure you're comfortable." He started suggesting I not go out with Jennifer as much. "I just miss you when you're gone," he'd say. "And you're so tired lately with the baby. Maybe you should rest instead." It seemed sweet, caring, like he just wanted what was best for me. I had no idea what was coming. Emily was born in October of 2002. 7 pounds, perfect in every way. Kevin was there for the delivery, held her before I did, cried again. "She's ours," he kept saying. "Can you believe it? She's ours." The first few months were exhausting, typical new parent chaos. Kevin helped with night feedings, changed diapers, did everything I asked. But slowly, subtly, things started to shift. It began with little comments. "Do you really need to go to Target again? You went last week." Or, "Why did Jennifer call 3 times today? Doesn't she know you're busy with the baby?" Small things. Easy to explain away, but they were the beginning of something much bigger. Asterisk, the first time Kevin checked the trash. Emily was 3 months old. I was standing at the kitchen counter making a bottle at 2 in the morning, exhausted, wearing the same sweatpants I'd had on for 3 days. I heard him behind me, the rustling of the garbage bag. "What are you doing?" I asked, turning around. He was pulling out receipts, smoothing them flat on the counter. "Just making sure we're not throwing away anything we can return," he said casually. "Money's tight with the baby. We need to be careful." It made sense. We were living on one income now since I'd taken maternity leave. I was planning to go back to work part-time in a few months, but for now, we needed to budget carefully. "Okay," I said, too tired to think much about it, but it didn't stop after that one time. It became a routine. Every morning before work, Kevin would check the trash. He'd pull out receipts, examine packaging, sometimes ask me questions. Why did you buy name brand instead of generic? Or did you really need to get coffee? I was exhausted, I'd explain. I grabbed it on the way home from the pediatrician. We have coffee at home, he'd say. Not angry, just factual. Like he was helping me see my mistakes. I started being more careful, checking prices twice, saving receipts, making sure everything I bought could be justified. When Emily was 6 months old, I went out with Jennifer for the first time since giving birth. Just dinner and maybe one drink. I needed it. I loved being a mom, but I also needed to remember I was still Sharon, still a person outside of diapers and feeding schedules. Kevin said it was fine. Have fun, he told me as I was leaving. You deserve a break. I met Jennifer at a restaurant in Dilworth. We ordered appetizers, talked about everything except babies for the first time in months. It felt good, normal, like myself again. Then my phone rang. Kevin, hey, is everything okay? I answered immediately, my stomach dropping. Is Emily all right? She's fine, he said. Just sleeping. Where are you again? Dilworth. The Italian place I told you about? Why? Just checking. What time will you be home? I don't know, maybe 9. We haven't even ordered entrees yet. Okay. Just wanted to make sure you were safe. Love you. He hung up. Jennifer raised her eyebrows. Everything good? Yeah, he's just checking in. 20 minutes later, he called again. This time to ask if I'd remembered to write down instructions for Emily's bedtime routine. Even though she was already asleep and he'd put her to bed hundreds of times by the time our food arrived, he called 4 more times, each time with a different question. Did I know where the thermometer was? Had I seen his work badge? What was the pediatrician's phone number again? Sharon, Jennifer said finally, her voice gentle. Why is he calling so much? He's just worried, I said, but my appetite was gone. I was checking my phone every 30 seconds, waiting for it to ring again, unable to relax. What should have been a fun evening had become stressful. I went home at 8:30, told Jennifer I was just tired. Kevin was on the couch when I got home watching TV. You're back early, he said, smiling. I thought you'd be out later. Just wanted to come home, I said. See. He pulled me down next to him. You'd rather be here anyway. That's because we have something real, Sharon. You don't need anyone else. It sounded romantic at the time. The phone calls became a pattern. Anytime I left the house without him, even just to run to the grocery store, my phone would light up. Sometimes 5 calls in an hour. Sometimes 10. Each one framed as concern. Just wanted to make sure you got there safely. Just checking that you're okay. Just missed hearing your voice. My friends started noticing. When we'd try to have lunch, I'd spend half the time on the phone with Kevin. Eventually, they stopped inviting me. Not because they didn't want me there, but because it was easier for everyone if I just stayed home, which is exactly what Kevin wanted. Though I didn't see it then, when Emily was 2 years old, I went back to work part-time at Belk, 3 days a week, just to have something that was mine again. To contribute financially, to feel like an adult. Kevin said he supported it, but every shift became complicated. He'd call the store. Just wanted to hear your voice. My manager started giving me looks. He'd show up during my lunch break. Surprise! I was in the area. Except he worked downtown, nowhere near the store. He'd text constantly. If I didn't respond within 10 minutes, the calls would start. Why aren't you answering? Is everything okay? I started feeling anxious at work, checking my phone compulsively. responding immediately to every message. My productivity dropped. My manager pulled me aside. "Sharon, is everything all right at home? You seem distracted." "Everything's fine," I lied. "Just adjusting to being back at work." Around this time, I got pregnant again. Ryan wasn't planned, but we were happy. Kevin seemed thrilled. "Another baby," he kept saying. "Our family's growing." I quit my job when I was 5 months along. Kevin suggested it. "You're exhausted all the time. The commute is stressing you out. Why don't you just stay home? We can make it work financially." I agreed because I was tired. Because juggling work and Emily and pregnancy was hard. Because it seemed to make sense. I didn't realize I was closing another door to the outside world. Ryan was born when Emily was 3, and suddenly I had 2 kids under 4 years old. My days blurred together into feeding, changing, playing, cleaning, cooking, repeat. I barely saw my friends anymore. When they'd call, Kevin would be in the background asking who I was talking to. How long I'd be on the phone. Eventually, they stopped calling too. "Your friends don't really understand what it's like to have kids," Kevin would say. "They're still going to bars, living their single lives. You've outgrown them, Sharon." That's not a bad thing. That's called growing up. But I missed Jennifer. I missed having conversations about things other than diaper rash and sleep schedules. I miss feeling like myself. "Maybe I could join a mom's group," I suggested once. "There's one that meets at the library on Tuesdays." Kevin frowned. "Do you really think that's necessary? You have me. You have the kids. Why do you need other people?" I didn't have an answer that wouldn't start a fight, so I let it go. Years passed like that. Emily started kindergarten. Ryan started preschool. Kevin's career was going well. He got promoted, made more money. We moved to a bigger house in Ballantine, a nice neighborhood with good schools. On paper, everything looked perfect. Beautiful house, 2 healthy kids, financially stable. But inside, I felt like I was disappearing. Every day, Kevin checked the trash. Every outing required an explanation. Every phone call was monitored. Every decision had to be run by him first, but it happened so gradually that I didn't have a word for what was happening. To me, I just thought this was what marriage looked like. By the time Emily started 2nd grade and Ryan was in pre-K, we'd settled into what looked like a normal suburban life. Kevin left for work at 7:30 every morning. I'd get the kids ready for school, drop them off, come home to an empty house that somehow felt both too big and too small. Every morning, the same routine. Kevin would check the trash before leaving. He'd stand there in his suit and tie, coffee in one hand, pulling out receipts with the other. Sometimes he wouldn't say anything. Sometimes he'd hold one up. "CVS again?" Ryan needed cough medicine. He was up all night. A nod. Then he'd kiss my forehead and leave. I started hiding receipts. Not because I was buying anything wrong, but because I was tired of explaining every purchase. I'd fold them into tiny squares and tuck them in my coat pocket. Throw them away at the gas station instead of at home. It felt like a victory, those small acts of concealment. Pathetic, isn't it? Being proud of successfully throwing away a receipt. The phone calls had gotten worse, or maybe I'd just gotten more aware of them. If I went to Target, which I had to do because we had 2 kids and constantly needed things, my phone would start vibrating before I even reached the parking lot. "Where are you?" "Target. We're out of milk." "Okay. How long will you be?" "I don't know, Kevin. 20 minutes. I just got here. Just asking." "Drive safe." Then 15 minutes later, "You still there?" I learned to shop fast. Grab what I needed, skip browsing, get in and out. Even then, I'd have 3 or 4 missed calls by the time I got to the car. One afternoon, I ran into an old coworker from Belk at the grocery store. Maria, who'd been an assistant manager with me. We hugged, started catching up in the cereal aisle. Oh my God, Sharon, I haven't seen you in years. How are you? How are the kids? It felt so good to talk to someone, to have a normal adult conversation about nothing important. We talked for maybe 10 minutes. My phone rang 3 times. I ignored it. When I got to the car, I had 12 missed calls and 6 texts. Where are you? Sharon, call me back. Why aren't you answering? I'm getting worried. Sharon, if you don't call me in 5 minutes, I'm calling the police. My hands were shaking when I called him back. I'm fine. I'm sorry. I ran into someone I used to work with and we were talking. For 20 minutes. You couldn't text me back once? My phone was in my purse. I didn't hear it. Silence on his end. Heavy, disappointed silence. Kevin, I'm sorry. It's fine. Just worried about you. You know how much I worry. Come home safe. But it wasn't fine. When I got home, he barely spoke to me for the rest of the day. Not angry, just distant. Like I'd done something wrong that he was too hurt to discuss. I never ran into Maria again. I started shopping at different times, different stores, anywhere I was less likely to see someone I knew. Because it wasn't worth it. The conversation wasn't worth the calls, the texts, the silent treatment afterward. That's when I realized I'd started organizing my life around avoiding Kevin's worry. Not his anger. He never got angry. Just worried, concerned, disappointed. Somehow that felt worse. Emily was 8 when she started asking questions. We were in the car, driving home from soccer practice. Mom, why does Dad call you so much? What do you mean, sweetie? Like, when we're at practice. Your phone rings a lot. Madison's mom's phone doesn't ring that much. Dad just likes to check in, make sure we're okay. She was quiet for a minute. Then, but we're always okay. I didn't have an answer for that. Ryan was easier. He was 5, still young enough that our family dynamics seemed normal to him because it was all he knew. But Emily was getting old enough to notice things, to compare our family to other families. Why doesn't Dad come to my games? She asked once. He's busy with work, honey. You know that. But Madison's dad works too. And Sophia's dad. They come. Everyone's different. But she was right. Kevin never came to soccer games, school events, parent-teacher conferences. He said crowds made him uncomfortable. Said he'd rather spend quality time with us at home, where it was just our family. I went to everything alone. Sat by myself on bleachers, watched other parents chat with each other, form friendships. If you tried to talk to me, I'd smile, be polite, but I never let it go further than that. Because if I made plans to get coffee with another mom, if I suggested meeting up outside of soccer practice, Kevin would find a reason why it was a bad idea. He wouldn't forbid it. He'd just look concerned. Do you really know her that well? You've just met her. What if Emily doesn't get along with her daughter? I just think you should be careful about who you let into our lives. So I'd cancel, make excuses. Eventually, they stopped asking. Our house in Ballantine was beautiful. 4 bedrooms, big backyard, good neighborhood. We had dinner together every night. Kevin would ask about my day, and I'd tell him about the kids, errands, household things. He'd tell me about work, though never in much detail. How was your day? I'd ask. Fine, busy long. That was usually it. To anyone looking from outside, we were fine. Good, even. Stable marriage, healthy kids, nice house. My dad would visit sometimes, comment on how well Kevin provided for us. You've got a good man, Sharon, he'd say. Works hard, takes care of his family. I'd smile and agree because what else could I say? That I felt like I was suffocating. That I couldn't remember the last time I'd made a decision without Kevin's input. that I spent my days in a beautiful house feeling like a prisoner. It sounded crazy even in my own head. When Emily was 9, she asked if she could have a birthday party. Not just family, but friends from school. Of course, sweetie. We'll invite your whole class. Kevin overheard. The whole class? That's a lot of people in our house, Sharon. It's her birthday. She wants her friends here. I just think we should keep it small. Family, maybe a couple of close friends. Too many kids running around. You know how chaotic that gets. We compromised. 5 friends? Emily was disappointed but didn't argue. She'd learned, just like I had, that it was easier not to push. The party was fine. The girls had fun. But I watched Emily look at the photos afterward, and I could see it on her face. The awareness that her party was smaller than other kids' parties. That her house had more rules than other houses. That something about our family was different. I saw it because I felt it too. But I still didn't have a name for what was happening to us. I still thought maybe this was just what marriage looked like after 10 years. Maybe everyone felt this way and just didn't talk about it. Maybe I was the problem. Too sensitive. Too needy. Wanting too much. That's what Kevin suggested, gently, whenever I tried to express frustration. You're stressed, Sharon. Taking care of 2 kids is hard. Maybe you're not seeing things clearly. And I believe him because what else did I have to compare it to? One night, I couldn't sleep. It was 2 a.m, Kevin snoring beside me, and I lay there staring at the ceiling, trying to remember the last time I'd felt genuinely happy. Not content, not fine, but actually happy. I couldn't remember. The thought scared me so much that I pushed it away immediately. Rolled over, forced myself to sleep, but it had planted itself in my brain. That question dot, when was the last time I was happy? Asterisk, the years between Emily's 9th birthday and her 12th were more of the same. Just slowly tightening like a screw you don't notice until it's already embedded in wood. Kevin's job was going well. He got another promotion, started traveling occasionally for conferences. Tampa, Atlanta, sometimes as far as Dallas. I should have been relieved when he traveled. 3 days without the trash inspections, without the constant phone calls. But it wasn't relief I felt. It was anxiety, because even from Tampa, he'd call. 6, 7 times a day. Just landed. Wanted to let you know I'm safe. At the hotel now. What are you doing? About to go into a meeting. Call me when the kids get home from school. Meeting's over. Why didn't you call? I did call, I'd say. You were in a meeting. You should have left a voicemail. The nights he was gone, I lie in bed staring at my phone, making sure the ringer was on, making sure I didn't miss a call. Because if I missed one, he'd call 8 more times. Each one more concerned than the last. Ryan was 7, Emily was 11. Old enough that I could have enjoyed the break when Kevin traveled. Could have relaxed, watched what I wanted on TV, eaten cereal for dinner if I felt like it. Instead, I felt like I was still being watched. Like he could somehow see me through the phone. One morning when the kids were at school and Kevin was at work, I did something I hadn't done in years. I called Jennifer Dot. We hadn't talked in maybe 3 years. Not because we'd fought, but because it had just become too hard. Too many canceled plans. Too many conversations cut short because Kevin needed something. Sharon? She sounded surprised. Happy, but surprised. Oh my God, how are you? I'm good. I was thinking about you. Wanted to see how you're doing. We talked for 45 minutes. She'd gotten married, was working as a regional manager for a hotel chain, traveling constantly. Her life sounded exciting, full, nothing like mine. You should come out with us sometime, she said. Me and some of the girls from back in the day. We do brunch once a month. You'd love it. That sounds great, I said, and I meant it. For the first time in years, I felt a spark of something. Excitement? Hope? I'll text you details for next month. It's at this place in South End, amazing mimosas. When Kevin got home that night, I told him, casually while making dinner. Jennifer called today. It was so nice to catch up with her. That's nice, he said, not looking up from his phone. How's she? Good. She's married now. She invited me to brunch next month with some old friends. Now he looked up. Brunch? Where? South End. Just a girl's thing. South End's pretty far. What day? I think she said the third Saturday. That's Ryan's soccer tournament. I'd forgotten about the tournament. Oh, right. Maybe another time, Kevin said, going back to his phone. I didn't bring it up again. When Jennifer texted me the details, I told her I couldn't make it. She said maybe next month. I agreed, but I knew I wouldn't go to that one either. It was easier this way. When Emily turned 12, she started middle school. Suddenly, she had a phone. Suddenly, she was texting friends, making plans, having a social life that extended beyond our house. Kevin didn't like it. She's too young for a phone, he said. Even though we'd already agreed to get her one, all her friends have phones. She needs it for safety, to call us if something happens, or she needs it to talk to people we don't know about. She's 12. Kevin, she's talking to her friends from school. He set up parental controls. Full monitoring. He could see every text, every call, every app she opened. Emily didn't know at first, but she figured it out quickly. Mom, why is Dad reading my texts? He's just making sure you're safe, honey. But they're private. I'm not doing anything wrong. I know. It's just until you're a little older. She gave me a look I'd never seen before. Disappointment. Like she expected me to stand up for her. And I hadn't. That look stayed with me for days. Around this time. Maybe 6 months later, the incident with the key happened. It was a Wednesday morning. Kevin left for work at his usual time. I heard him lock the door behind him, the deadbolt clicking into place. An hour later, I went to take the trash to the curb. Reached for my keys. They weren't on the hook by the door where I always kept them. I searched everywhere. Kitchen counter, my purse, coat pockets. Nothing. Then my phone rang. Kevin. Hey, I think I accidentally took your keys, he said. They must have gotten mixed up with mine this morning. What? How? I don't know. I just noticed them on my keyring. I'm already at work. Can you manage without them for today? Kevin, I need to take the trash out. And I have to pick up the kids from school. Can't you just leave the trash until I get home? And the kids can walk, right? It's not that far. Ryan's 7. He can't walk home alone. Then walk to get them. It's good exercise. Something in his tone felt off. Not apologetic, almost amused. But I pushed the thought away. Fine, I'll walk. See? Problem solved. Love you. I walked the mile to Ryan's elementary school that afternoon, then the additional half-mile to Emily's middle school, then the 1.5 miles back home with both kids. Ryan complained the whole way. Emily was quiet, watching me. When Kevin got home at 6, I was making dinner. He kissed my cheek, set my keys on the counter. Sorry about that. Don't know how they got mixed up. It's okay, I said, even though my feet hurt and I was exhausted. But that night, lying in bed, I couldn't stop thinking about it. We'd lived in this house for 5 years. Our keys had never gotten mixed up before. They didn't even look the same. Mine had a pink lanyard. His were on a plain metal ring. How does that happen accidentally? I didn't say anything. Because what would I say? That I thought he took my keys on purpose? That sounded paranoid, crazy. But 2 weeks later, my dad came to visit. He'd driven up from Colombia, wanted to take me and the kids out for lunch. Kevin was at work when Dad arrived. I went to get my keys. They weren't there. I tore the house apart, checked everywhere twice. Finally called Kevin. I can't find my keys again. Again? That's weird. Where did you see them last? On the hook. Where they always are. Maybe Emily or Ryan moved them. I asked the kids. They hadn't touched them. My dad was standing in the living room, watching all of this, his expression growing more concerned by the minute. Sharon, how are we getting to lunch? He asked. I don't know, Dad. I can't find my keys. What about Kevin's keys? Can't you use his car? Kevin had driven his car to work. We only had the one vehicle at home. I'm so sorry, I told my dad. This has never happened before. He looked at me for a long moment. Sharon, does this kind of thing happen a lot? What do you mean? Not being able to go places? Not having access to things you need? No, it's just a coincidence. I'm just disorganized lately, but I could see he didn't believe me. And honestly, I wasn't sure I believed myself anymore. When Kevin got home and I told him what happened, he found my keys immediately. In the garage on his workbench. See? You must have left them there when you were getting something out of storage. I wasn't in the garage this morning. You must have forgotten. You've been stressed lately, Sharon. Maybe you should see someone. Talk to a therapist about the anxiety. My dad was still there. Heard the whole exchange. The look on his face told me he'd heard something I couldn't quite name yet. After Dad left, he called me from his car. Sharon, I need to ask you something, and I want you to be honest. Are you okay? Really okay? I'm fine, Dad. Just a weird day. Because if you're not, if something's going on, you can tell me. You can always come home. Dad, I'm 43 years old with 2 kids. This is my home. Silence on his end. Then, okay, but I'm serious. Anytime, for any reason. I thanked him and hung up. But his words stayed with me. Anytime, for any reason. Like he'd seen something I hadn't been willing to see yet. Asterisk Emily turned 13 the same month I turned 45. We had a small party at the house, just family and 2 of her closest friends. Kevin grilled burgers in the backyard, played the role of the fun dad, made everyone laugh with his jokes. When the girls went upstairs to Emily's room, I heard them talking through the vent. Their voices carried down to the kitchen where I was cleaning up. Your dad seems nice, one of them said. He's okay. Emily's voice careful. My dad never hangs out when I have friends over. He's always working. Yeah, well, mine's home a lot. Something in the way she said it made me stop scrubbing the pan I was holding. There was a weight to those words I couldn't quite identify. You're lucky, the friend said. Emily didn't respond that night. After everyone left, after the kids were in bed, I sat in the living room with my laptop. Kevin was in his office on a work call. I opened a browser and stared at the search bar for a long time before I typed anything. Finally, husband calls too much. The results that came back were articles about anxiety, communication in marriage, healthy boundaries. I clicked through a few. None of them felt quite right. I tried again. Husband checks everything I buy. More articles about financial abuse, controlling partners. The word abuse made me uncomfortable. Kevin wasn't abusive. He'd never hit me, never screamed at me. He just worried. He just wanted to make sure we were being smart with money, but I kept reading. One article talked about coercive control. I'd never heard that term before. It described patterns, isolation from friends and family, monitoring whereabouts, controlling finances, making someone doubt their own judgment. I read it 3 times. Then I closed the laptop quickly when I heard Kevin's office door open. What are you doing? He asked, walking into the living room. Nothing. Just looking at recipes. For what? I don't know. Just browsing. He looked at me strangely. You okay? You seem jumpy. I'm fine. Just tired. He sat down next to me, put his arm around my shoulders. You work so hard taking care of all of us. I don't tell you that enough. You're a great mom, Sharon. Great wife. I leaned into him because it was easier than pulling away. But my mind was still on that article, on those words. Coercive control. The next morning, after Kevin left for work and the kids left for school, I opened the laptop again. Search for more articles. Read for 2 hours straight. Everything I read felt like someone had been watching my life and writing it down. The phone calls. The financial monitoring. The isolation from friends. The way he'd make me doubt myself, suggest I was stressed, anxious, not seeing things clearly. There was a quiz on one website. Is your relationship healthy? I took it, answered honestly. The result: you may be experiencing emotional abuse. Please reach out to a professional for help. I closed the laptop so hard it made a snapping sound. Emotional abuse. That was ridiculous. Kevin loved me. He provided for us. He'd never hurt me, but hadn't he? Not with his hands, but with his words, his control, his constant monitoring of my every move. I didn't know what to think, so I did what I always did. I pushed it down, made lunch, did laundry, picked up the kids from school. But the article stayed in my head. Those words: coercive control, emotional abuse. Emily came home that day quiet, went straight to her room. When I went to check on her, she was lying on her bed, staring at the ceiling. Everything okay, sweetie? Mom, can I ask you something? Of course. She sat up, looked at me with those eyes that were getting older every day, seeing more than I wanted her to see. Is it normal that Dad asks where you are all the time? My heart started pounding. What do you mean? Like when we're out? He always texts you? Calls you. Madison's parents don't do that. When her mom goes out with friends, her dad just says, have fun. He doesn't check on her every 5 minutes. Everyone's different. Your dad just worries because he loves us. But you never go out with friends. I do sometimes. No, you don't. You haven't in years. Not since I was little. I sat down on her bed. I've just been busy with you and Ryan. It's not a big deal. Mom, she looked at me so directly I had to look away. Are you happy? The same question I'd asked myself months ago. Lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, unable to answer. Of course I'm happy. I have you and Ryan. I have a beautiful home. I'm very blessed. That's not what I asked. We sat in silence. Finally, Emily spoke again, quieter this time. Mrs. Patterson said something in health class today about healthy relationships, about warning signs of control. And I just kept thinking. She trailed off. Thinking what? Nothing. Never mind. She lay back down, turned toward the wall. Conversation over, but I knew what she'd been thinking. Because I'd been thinking the same thing. That night, I couldn't sleep. Kevin was next to me, breathing evenly, peaceful. I got up, went to the bathroom, locked the door, and sat on the floor with my phone. I searched again. This time more specific, coercive control checklist. Does your partner monitor your whereabouts constantly? Yes. Limit your contact with friends and family? Yes. Control finances? Yes. Make you feel like you're overreacting or too sensitive? Yes. Check your purchases or belongings? Yes. Make you feel afraid to disagree with them? Yes. I checked yes to 18 out of 20 questions. The website said. If you checked more than 5, you may be experiencing coercive control. This is a form of abuse. I sat there on the bathroom floor, phone in my hand, tears streaming down my face as quietly as I could manage. Because if I made noise, Kevin would wake up. He'd come check on me, ask what was wrong. And I'd have to lie again. I'd gotten so good at lying. 15 years of marriage. 15 years of this. How had I not seen it? Or had I seen it and just called it something else? Love, concern, protection. When had those things turned into prison walls? I heard movement in the bedroom. Kevin's voice, groggy. Sharon, you in there? I wiped my face quickly, flushed the toilet like I'd actually used it. Yeah, just a second. When I came out, he was sitting up in bed. You okay? Fine, just couldn't sleep. Come here. He patted the bed next to him. I climbed back in. He pulled me close, kissed the top of my head. I love you so much, you know that? I know. I don't know what I'd do without you, Sharon. You're everything to me. The words that used to make me feel loved now made me feel trapped. I lay there, his arm around me, feeling more alone than I'd ever felt in my life, because now I knew. Now I had words for what was happening, and I had no idea what to do about it. Asterisk. 3 weeks after that night on the bathroom floor, I still hadn't done anything. I knew what was happening. I had a name for it. But knowing and acting are two different things. Where would I even go? I hadn't worked in over a decade. I had no savings of my own. Kevin controlled everything financial. And what about the kids? Ryan was only 9. Could I really uproot their entire lives? Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe this was just marriage. Maybe everyone felt this way and I was being dramatic. That's what I told myself every morning when Kevin checked the trash. Every afternoon when my phone rang 6 times during a Target run. Every evening when I had to account for every hour of my day. Then came the incident with the therapist. I'd been thinking about it for weeks. The website had said to reach out to a professional. But how? Kevin monitored our bank accounts. He'd see the charge. He'd want to know what I was spending money on. One afternoon, I was at the pediatrician's office with Ryan for his annual checkup. In the waiting room, there was a bulletin board with local resources. One flyer caught my eye. Free counseling services for women. Confidential. I took a photo of it with my phone. Deleted it immediately after memorizing the number. That night, when Kevin was in the shower, I called from the garage. My hands were shaking. Hello? Hi, I saw your flyer. About the counseling services. Yes, of course. Can I get your name? Sharon, I need to talk to someone. But it has to be confidential. My husband can't know. There was a pause. The woman's voice was gentle when she spoke again. I understand. We have appointments available Tuesday and Thursday mornings. Would either of those work? Tuesday, 10 a.m. Perfect. I'll text you the address. When I do, please delete it after you've seen it, okay? And save our number under a different name in your phone. How did you know to tell me that? Because you're not the first woman who's called needing to hide the fact that she's getting help. I went to my first appointment the following Tuesday. Told Kevin I was going to Target. He called twice during the session. I let it go to voicemail, texted back. In store, we'll call when done. The therapist's name was Dr. Patricia Chen. She was in her 50s, calm, direct. I sat in her office and cried for 20 minutes before I could even speak. When I finally could, everything came pouring out. The trash, the phone calls, the keys, the isolation, 15 years of it. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, Sharon, what you're describing is a textbook case of coercive control. This is abuse. I need you to understand that, but he's never hit me. Abuse doesn't have to be physical to be real. What you've experienced is psychological abuse, and it's just as damaging. I saw her 3 more times over the next month. Each session, I learned more. About trauma bonding. About why it's so hard to leave. About safety planning. You need to be careful, She said during our fourth session, when someone like your husband starts to lose control, they often escalate. Has he ever been violent? No, never. But has he ever scared you? I thought about the silent treatments, the disappointment in his voice that felt worse than anger, the way he could make me feel small without raising his voice. Yes, I admitted. He scares me all the time. She helped me make a plan. Small steps. Opening a bank account at a different bank. Keeping important documents in my car. Memorizing the number for a domestic violence hotline. I was careful. So careful. I deleted our text conversations. Varied the times I went to appointments. Never mentioned therapy to anyone, but I'd forgotten about the trash dot. It was a Wednesday morning. Kevin was checking the garbage before work, like always. I was making coffee, not paying attention. Then I heard him go very still. Sharon. His voice was different, flat, cold. I turned around. He was holding a crumpled piece of paper. My stomach dropped out. It was a receipt. From the bank. For opening a checking account. What is this? My mind raced. It's nothing. Just a separate account for household expenses. To make budgeting easier. Why do you need a separate account? I just thought it would help keep track of. Why would you open an account without telling me? I was going to tell you. Were you? He was walking toward me now, the receipt in his hand. Or were you hiding it? Kevin, you're being paranoid. Am I? He was close now, right in front of me. What else are you hiding, Sharon? My heart was pounding. Nothing. I'm not hiding anything. He pulled out his phone, started scrolling. You've been going to Target a lot lately. 2-3 times a week. That's a lot of Target trips. We have 2 kids. We need things, do we? He looked at me, and for the first time in 15 years, I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before. Not concern. Not worry. Rage. Or had you been going somewhere else? Kevin, stop. You're scaring me. Where do you go, Sharon? Who do you see? Nobody. I go to Target. I run errands. That's it. You're lying. I'm not. We stood there, staring at each other. Emily appeared at the top of the stairs, still in her pajamas. Mom? What's going on? Nothing, sweetie. Go get ready for school. She didn't move. Just stood there, watching us. Watching her father hold a piece of paper like it was evidence of a crime. Watching her mother backed against the kitchen counter. Emily, Kevin said, not taking his eyes off me. Go to your room. But now. She disappeared. I heard her door close. Kevin crumpled the receipt in his fist. I'm going to ask you one more time. What are you planning? And in that moment, looking at his face, at the barely controlled anger there, something inside me broke. Or maybe it was already broken and I'd just been holding the pieces together for too long. I'm planning to leave you, I said. The words hung in the air between us. I couldn't believe I'd said them, but now that they were out, I couldn't take them back. Kevin's expression didn't change for a long moment. Then he laughed. Actually laughed. Leave me? And go where? You don't work. You don't have money. You don't have anywhere to go. I'll figure it out. With what? This? He waved the receipt. You opened an account with $300, Sharon. That'll last you about a week. Then what? I'll get a job. Doing what? You haven't worked in 12 years. You have no current experience. No references. Who's going to hire you? Every word was designed to hurt, to remind me of my dependence, to make me feel small and incapable, but I'd been feeling small for 15 years. His words couldn't make me any smaller than I already felt. I don't know, I said, but I'll figure it out. Because I can't do this anymore, Kevin. I can't live like this. Like what? I provide for you. I give you everything. A beautiful home. Everything you could want, except freedom. He stared at me. Freedom? What the hell does that even mean? It means I want to go to the grocery store without being called 6 times. It means I want to see my friends without being made to feel guilty. It means I want to make decisions about my own life without needing your permission. You never needed my permission. Yes, I did. I always did. You just made it seem like I had a choice. He shook his head slowly. You're being crazy right now. You know that? This is insane. Maybe it is. But I'd rather be crazy and free than sane and trapped. You're not trapped, Sharon. I'm done. The words came out stronger than I expected. I'm done explaining myself. Done justifying. Done pretending this is normal. I want a divorce. The kitchen fell silent except for the sound of the coffee maker. Finishing its cycle, Kevin's face went through several emotions: shock, anger, then something that looked almost like fear. You can't be serious. I am. What about the kids? What about them? They deserve to see what a healthy relationship looks like, or at least to not see an unhealthy one. If you leave, I'll fight for custody. You think a judge will give the kids to an unemployed woman with no income? There it was. The threat I'd known was coming. Maybe, maybe not. But at least they'll know I tried. At least they'll know I chose myself. Emily's already old enough to see what's happening here, Kevin. She asked me if I was happy. She's 13 years old and she knows something's wrong. He had no response to that. I'm not doing this today, I said. Not right now. But I'm doing it. I'm leaving. You need to prepare for that. I walked past him, grabbed my purse, called up the stairs. Emily. Ryan, let's go. You can get ready at school. They came running, confused, still in pajamas, but they didn't question me. Emily grabbed Ryan's hand. We walked out the door together. I drove to my dad's house. 2 hours straight, didn't answer a single one of Kevin's 43 phone calls. When we pulled into Dad's driveway, he came out immediately, took one look at my face, and said, "You're staying as long as you need to." For the first time in 15 years, I felt like I could breathe. Asterisk, my dad's house was exactly as I remembered from childhood. Small 3-bedroom ranch in Colombia, same beige carpet, same framed photos on the walls. He'd lived alone since my mom died 8 years ago, kept everything neat, lived simply. He set us up in my old bedroom. Emily and I would share the double bed. Ryan got the pull-out couch in the den. It's not much, Dad said, but it's yours as long as you need it. That first night, I lay awake listening to Emily breathe beside me, my phone lighting up every few minutes with calls and texts from Kevin. Where are you? Bring my kids home. You're making a huge mistake. We can talk about this. Come home. Sharon, answer me. You're scaring the kids by doing this. I'll give you until tomorrow morning. Then I'm calling the police. I turned my phone off, stared at the ceiling in the dark. What had I done? Emily rolled over and I realized she wasn't asleep either. Mom? Yeah, sweetie. Are we really not going back? I don't know yet. We're just taking a break right now. Good. The word surprised me. Good? I don't like it there anymore. The way Dad is with you. It makes me feel... She trailed off, searching for words. Scared, even though he's never mean to me. It still feels scary. I pulled her close. I'm so sorry, Em. You shouldn't have had to see any of that. It's not your fault, Mom. It's his. She was 13. 13 and already understood more than I had at 40-5. The next morning, Dad made pancakes. Ryan ate 4 of them, seemed completely unbothered by the change. Emily picked at hers, checked her phone constantly. Dad's texting me, she said. asking where we are. What are you telling him? Nothing, but he keeps saying to tell you to call him. My dad set down his coffee mug. Sharon, you need to talk to a lawyer today. I know. Today, he repeated, before Kevin does something. You took the kids out of state without telling him? I don't know what that means legally, but you need to find out. He was right. I called Dr. Chen, the therapist. She gave me the name of a lawyer who specialized in domestic abuse cases. I got an appointment for that afternoon. The lawyer's name was Michael Santos. His office was downtown Columbia, third floor of an old building. He was younger than I expected, maybe early 40s, tired eyes that had probably seen too many stories like mine. Tell me everything, he said. So I did. 15 years compressed into 45 minutes. When I finished, he was taking notes, nodding. Okay, first thing, you're not in trouble for bringing the kids here? South Carolina and North Carolina have reciprocal agreements, and you came to a family member's house. That's not kidnapping. But Kevin could file for emergency custody if you wanted to make things difficult. My stomach dropped. Could he win? Unlikely, but possible. Judges don't like it when one parent removes children from their home state without notice. But given what you've described, and given Emily's age, she's old enough that her preference matters. I think we can make a strong case. What do I do? File first. Today, we file for divorce and for temporary custody in South Carolina, establish jurisdiction here. We document everything you told me. The financial control, the isolation, the monitoring. We get statements from your therapist, from your dad about the key incident. We build a case for coercive control. How long does this take? Months, maybe a year. It won't be easy, Sharon. He's going to fight. Men like him always do. They don't give up control easily. I don't have money for a lawyer. I do pro bono work for cases like yours. We'll figure out the financial part later. Right now, we need to protect you and your kids. By the end of the day, papers have been filed. Kevin would be served within 48 hours. I was really doing this. No going back now. That night, Kevin showed up at my dad's house. I heard his voice through the door. Loud, angry. I know she's in there. Those are my kids. You can't keep them from me. My dad's voice, calm but firm. Kevin, you need to leave. Sharon will contact you through her lawyer. Her lawyer? She got a lawyer for what? I haven't done anything wrong. Kevin, I'm asking you nicely. Leave now, or I'm calling the police. You can't do this. You can't keep a man from his own children. I can when he shows up at my house at 9 p.m. yelling. Last warning. I heard Kevin's footsteps retreating. A car door slamming. Tires on gravel. Emily was standing behind me in the hallway, pale. Is he going to take us back? No, baby. He's not. But I wasn't sure I believed it myself. The next few weeks were a blur. Back and forth with lawyers, documents, statements, bank records showing how Kevin controlled everything financial. Dr. Chun wrote a letter detailing our sessions, the patterns of coercive control she'd observed in my descriptions. My dad gave a statement about the key incident, about how I'd been isolated from everyone. Kevin hired his own lawyer, an expensive one, filed a counter petition claiming I was mentally unstable, had abandoned our home without cause, was turning the children against him. His lawyer subpoenaed my therapy records, tried to use them against me, saying I was the one with mental health issues, that I needed treatment. Michael Santos shut that down fast. Seeking help is not evidence of instability. It's evidence of strength. Emily had to give a statement. The judge interviewed her privately, asked her about life at home. She was honest. Told them about the phone calls, the way her dad monitored me, the way I seemed afraid sometimes. Ryan was too young for his statement to carry much weight, but he told the judge he wanted to stay with me. That was enough. The temporary custody hearing was 6 weeks after I'd left. Kevin showed up in a suit, looking like the successful businessman he was. Played the concerned father, the confused husband. "I don't understand what's happening," he told the judge. "My wife suddenly took our children and disappeared. I've been trying to work this out, but she won't even speak to me." "Mr. Miller," the judge said, "there are documented patterns of financial control, isolation, and monitoring that concern this court. I was trying to keep my family safe. Is that a crime now?" "No, but it's also not a defense for the behaviors described here." The judge granted me temporary custody. Kevin would get supervised visitation every other weekend. Had to take a parenting class. Undergo a psychological evaluation. He was furious. I watched his face when the judge read the order. Saw the rage there, barely contained. "This isn't over," he said to me in the hallway afterward. "You think you can just take my kids? My house, my life? This isn't over, Sharon." Michael stepped between us. "Mr. Miller, you need to step back." Kevin looked at me one more time, then walked away. I stood there shaking, because I knew he was right. This wasn't over. Not even close, but for the first time in 15 years, I felt like maybe I could win. The divorce took 8 months. 8 months of court dates, mediations, financial disclosures. Kevin fought everything. Custody, money, the house. Every single thing became a battle. He tried to make me look unstable. Brought up the therapy, twisted it. Said I'd abandoned our home impulsively. Said I was turning the kids against him, but the evidence was clear. Bank statements showing his control. Dr. Chun's documentation. Emily's statement. Even Ryan, at 9, told the child advocate he felt safer with me. I got a part-time job at a boutique in Colombia. It wasn't much, but it was mine. My own money. My own schedule. No one calling to ask where I was. The first paycheck I earned, I cried. Because it was mine. Emily started therapy, processing everything she'd witnessed growing up. She was doing better, smiling more. Made new friends at her South Carolina school. Ryan adjusted easier. Kids are resilient that way. He missed his dad but didn't seem damaged by the separation. Kevin's supervised visits were tense. He'd show up, play the perfect dad for 2 hours, then leave. Emily told me he spent most of the time asking about me, what I was doing, who I was seeing, whether the first was dating. "I don't answer him," she said. "It's not his business anymore." My 13-year-old daughter was setting boundaries I'd never learned to set. The final hearing was in November. Cold day, gray sky. I wore the one professional outfit I owned, sat next to Michael Santos, and watched Kevin lie to the judge about who he'd been for 15 years, but the evidence spoke louder than his words. I got primary custody. The house in Charlotte would be sold, assets divided. Child support established. Kevin got visitation unsupervised now, but only in South Carolina where I'd established residency. When the judge signed the order, I felt something I hadn't felt in 15 years. Free. Asterisk. The first year after the divorce was strange. Good strange, but strange. I'd wake up in my dad's guest room and remember I didn't have to account for my time. Didn't have to check in. Didn't have to explain. I started small. Went to the grocery store and didn't look at my phone once. Came home 2 hours later because I'd run into an old friend and we got coffee. No missed calls to explain. No interrogation. It felt foreign. Like I'd forgotten how to be a person without someone monitoring me. Dad helped with the kids after school while I worked. Emily joined the drama club. Ryan played basketball. Normal kid things that felt extraordinary because they were happening without tension. Without Kevin's absence casting a shadow, I reconnected with Jennifer. She drove down from Charlotte one Saturday, and we spent the entire day talking. Really talking for the first time in over a decade. "I'm so sorry I didn't see it," she said. "All those years, I thought you just got busy with kids. I didn't realize. No one could see it." That's how it works. Therapy helped. I went weekly, processed 15 years of conditioning, learned that I wasn't crazy, wasn't overreacting, that what happened to me had a name, and that name and mattered. I started recognizing the patterns in other people's stories. The woman at the boutique who couldn't make decisions without texting her boyfriend first. The customer who apologized 6 times for returning a sweater. I saw myself in them. And sometimes gently, I'd say something. "You don't need permission to return something that doesn't fit." Small things. Seeds. 6 months after the divorce, I went on a date. My coworker set me up with her brother, Tom, widower, kind eyes. Owned a small construction company. I almost canceled 3 times. But I went. Tom was easy to talk to. Didn't interrupt. Didn't monitor how much I ate. Didn't check his phone constantly to see where I was on an app dot at the end of dinner. He walked me to my car. "I had a really nice time," he said. "Can I call you?" "Yes," I said. Then added, "But I need to tell you something. I'm recently divorced." It was complicated. I'm still figuring out who I am outside of that marriage. "That's fair," he said. "No pressure. We can just be friends who sometimes get dinner if you want." The fact that he gave me an out made me want to see him again. We took it slow. Coffee dates, walks. He met the kids after 2 months, casual, no big deal. Emily liked him immediately. Ryan was cautious, but warmed up. Tom was patient. Never pushed. When I flinched the first time, he raised his voice, yelling at a football game on TV, not at me. He noticed. "Hey, you okay?" "Yeah, sorry, just old habits." He turned the TV down. "I'm not him, Sharon. I'll never be him. But I get that you need time to believe that." That's when I knew he was different. I'm 50 years old now. 3 years since the divorce was finalized. I live in a small apartment in Columbia, nothing fancy, but it's mine. Every single thing in it I chose. No one questioned my decisions. No one checked the receipts. Emily's 16 now, thriving. Honor roll, lead in the school play, planning for college. She's strong in ways I wasn't at her age. She knows what healthy relationships look like because she's seen me rebuild one. Ryan's 12. Still a mama's boy, but in the best way. He tells me about his day without me having to ask. Doesn't hide things. Trust that I'll listen without judgment. Kevin has them every other weekend. He's better now, or at least more careful. The supervised visits taught him something. Emily sets boundaries with him I never could. Ryan follows her lead. Tom and I have been together 1.5 years. We don't live together, not yet. Maybe never. And that's okay. We're taking it at whatever pace feels right. He has his life. I have mine. We choose to share them, but neither of us owns the other. Last week, I threw away a receipt without thinking twice about it. Realized later what I'd done and actually laughed. Such a small thing. Such a massive victory. The boutique promoted me to assistant manager. I'm good at it, helping women find clothes that make them feel confident. Sometimes I see it in their eyes, that same look I had. The apology reflex. The checking their phone constantly. The let me ask my husband first. When I do, I say something simple. "What do you think? Do you like it?" Sometimes that's all it takes. Permission to have their own opinion. I wish I could tell you the moment everything got better. But it wasn't a moment. It was 1,000 small moments. The first time I went somewhere without telling anyone where I was going. The first time I bought something frivolous just because I wanted it. The first time I disagreed with Tom and he said, okay, that's fair, instead of making me doubt myself. If you're watching this and something feels familiar, if you're making excuses for phone calls and questioning yourself constantly, if you feel like you're disappearing inside your own life, you're not crazy. You're not overreacting. Trust that feeling. I'm not going to tell you to leave. That's your decision, and only you know when you're ready. But I will tell you this. Document everything. Tell someone. Find one person who believes you. And know that there's a version of your life where you get to just be yourself without apologizing for it. Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. And if this story helped you in any way, please subscribe. We share stories like this every single day. Real women, real survival, real hope. You're not alone in this. I promise you're not alone. My name is Sharon. I'm 50 years old. And for the first time in my adult life, I'm actually happy.